I had made a video about making and installing what I called a miniature French drain at this corner of my house. And now 1 year later, we're going to look at why it failed and what to do next. When I installed this miniature French drain, I had three goals in mind. One, get gutter water at least 10 feet away from my house, allow for a flat surface that my lawnmower could drive over without having to move a downspout, and have something that looked aesthetically pleasing. And at the time when I installed this, it achieved all three of those goals. Over the course of a year, though, it failed in one of those areas, and that was getting water 10 feet away from the house. And because really, it simply clogged up. And that might not come to a surprise to those of you in the drainage industry, because these rocks eventually just clogged up with debris, even though I had already shown and through testing in my first video that I had selected rocks that were hopefully resistant to clogging up. What you see here are the two old gutters. This one I cleaned out the other day. This one I did not. And see this packed sand in here? So this came from the surrounding soil, and I'll take the blame for a lot of this because I put this sand here to help pack in the gutters, to help them sit flat, and also to help just kind of build up the area around it back here by the house. I would say two learnings are, one, if you have this happen where your rock fields are filling up, it's probably going to be a recurring problem. Two, if you really want to keep a rock field and have it be low maintenance, you need to protect it. You need to use it in an area that is not going to have a lot of surface particulate. Maybe you don't have trees. If you have gutters going into it, make sure your gutters are clean. Keep the gutters clean. Use like a gutter helmet or something to keep debris out of the gutters. Because anytime debris goes into these rock fields, this is going to happen more or less. It's going to clog it up over time. But just know that open rock fields look great and they actually drain water very effectively, but only when they're clean. So that's a big weakness there. So now let's look and see what I'm going to replace this all with. When I had originally done this project, that miniature French drain, an easy alternative would have been to use a channel drain, because that's essentially what I was creating. The main reason I did not is because channel drains are more expensive than what I was doing. I worked on a pretty tight budget just for fun, and because I like the look of what I ended up with. The huge advantage to a channel drain is that it's open. When you look in the end of it, right, it is an open channel. So if you can imagine, leafy debris and a little bit of sand getting in this, it's just going to wash to the bottom. There's a huge flow path there that prevents debris from building up, and that's a big advantage to this over what I had over there. The main negative to me is aesthetics and cost. So this still does the three things that I said I wanted. This meets all three, but the looking nice part is slightly questionable compared to the rock field. I really like the look of the rock field. I really, really do. Just so you know, the way these go together is really simple. It's just kind of a male-female connection where you drop this end of this channel into the end of this channel on the left. And these are actually really nice kits. I'm looking forward to trying these. They're actually fairly affordable in the world of channel drains. They're American made. They're very heavy duty. They're very stout. They're actually meant to go in concrete. Just like before, I'm going to be using components not exactly in the way that they were intended. But in the end, hopefully you end up with something that works and looks decent and doesn't break the bank. So let's get started. Now you can clearly see all the dirt and debris that came out of that gutter. So this is just what came out of the second gutter. There was basically an equal amount that came out of the first gutter the other day. So there's some of it ended up in here, but you've got between what's in that bucket and what's in the gutter here, I would say about a third of the gutter's volume was just taken up with this dirt and debris. So no wonder it was not flowing. So that really set very nicely in the trench once I made it a little bit deeper. And you can see if I get down low that I got it below grass level. So that means that the water that comes out of the downspout should, want to go down into the grates instead of just flowing off either side, because this is lower than the surrounding grass. That also means that, there's zero chance of anything hitting it as it drives over, like a mower blade or anything like that. When I put all the grates down, at first I butted them up tight against each other, and there actually ended up being a big gap at the end. So these are meant to have a small gap between the grates. So if you do something like this, just know that you don't want to butt them up against each other like that. You need to leave a little bit of a gap to keep your spacing consistent. One obvious downside to having a multi-piece channel drain is that you get these seams here. I'm not too worried about it because really this is just meant to carry masses of water down away from the house, but if there's a little bit of weeping here, that's okay. But one thing that I did realize with this particular style is that if these would somehow separate, like the ground would shift a little bit, in the way I have it sitting right now, the downstream side would come up. And that's bad, because if water was rushing down here, it would hit this lip, and if it separated enough, the water would actually go underneath this channel, perhaps completely, if they really started separating. So I'm going to actually flip this around so that the female part of the connector is downstream. That way, if they ever get separated, the water would be flowing this direction, and the water would just kind of jump over this drop. I think the next thing is to do a pour test. If you can see down in there, most of the water is right down in the bottom at the end here. It's all about in the last foot or so, and it is actually percolating out the end and down into this rock. So I would say that's a success. Now, if I get any dirt or debris in there in the future, it should be very obvious and easy to clean out. I can probably it'll probably all wash down to this end, and I can just take these 4 screws out, lift this panel out, and clean it out the end of the drain. So I'm going to see how this goes. I have a feeling it will fare better than the last one did. So what do you think? Would you do something like this to eliminate a downspout extension by your house? Let me know, leave a comment, and like the video if it helps you. Thank you, and I will see you on the next one. Well, might be okay after all.